Welcome to Tax Insights, presented by Hawkins Ash CPAs.
And good morning, listeners. Welcome back to the program here on the Lakeshore's Good Neighbor, WOMT. We got Ryan with us this morning from Hawkins Ash. Good morning, Ryan.
Good morning, Terry.
Hey, we are talking about some basic tax rules when it relates to gifting to family or some friends.
Yeah, this is a question that we get quite often. What are the tax consequences of making gifts to either your kids, your grandkids, or other folks? And the first thing I'll say is there's no income tax consequences to the person who receives a gift, and that's often the most common question. But what we're going to talk about are what are the tax consequences to the person who makes the gift, and that actually falls under the federal estate and gift tax rules.
So I always thought, though, that the estate tax was just for the super rich, shall we say?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And so we need to discuss a couple key terms and figures first. The first one is a figure of $12,060,000. That's called the basic exclusion amount, or sometimes called your lifetime exemption amount. That's the amount that someone can own at death before they have to trigger or pay estate tax. So yes, the estate tax does only apply to the very wealthy. However, there's also something called the gift tax system. And what that means is at death, the IRS includes certain gifts that you make during life in the calculation of that $13 million figure. So in other words, someone worth $13 million today can't just simply give away everything they own on their deathbed, pass away, and then not have to pay estate tax. So that's where the gift tax rules come into play. And those rules actually impact far more than just the wealthy.
So you said only certain gifts are accounted for. What does that mean?
Yeah, and that's where the second key figure comes in. That number is $16,000, not million, $16,000. This is called the annual exclusion amount. And this is the amount of gifts that anyone can give away in any given year to any given person before triggering a gift tax filing requirement. And so, for example, let's just say I give my son $17,000 to buy a car. And I do that all in 1 year. Since I've exceeded $16,000, I need to now file a gift tax return with the IRS to tell them that instead of $12,060,000 at death, I now have $12,060,000 less 1,000 or $12,059,000 available at death. There's no tax due on the gift tax return. It's just simply telling the IRS that, hey, I've exceeded that $16,000 figure.
Interesting. Are there other exceptions or rules that one should be aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. But we're only going to cover the very basic ones that apply to the vast majority of people. First, that $16,000 figure applies to an unlimited number of recipients. So let's just say I have 10 children. I can gift them each $16,000 or $160,000 total in a given year and not trigger a filing requirement. It's only when you exceed $16,000 for one person. Second, and most common, is it applies to each person making the gift. So if you're married and you do proper planning, it's actually $32,000 that a couple can gift away in any given year, again, to any number of individuals. The third, less known exception, but an important one, is if you pay somebody else's tuition and or medical expenses, and you pay those directly to the school, for example, or the doctor, the IRS does not consider that a gift at all, which means it doesn't count towards that $16,000 figure.
Interesting. Ryan, great information here on today's program. Time is running out, but we do want to invite listeners to connect with you guys if they have questions. What is the best way of connecting with Hawkins Ash CPAs?
Well, Terry, they can check out our website at www.hawkinsash.cpa. Contact one of our estate planning professionals. They can follow us on Twitter or like us on Facebook.
Ryan, thank you for your time, my friend. We'll talk to you next week here on WOMT.
This has been Tax Insights, presented by Hawkins Ash CPAs. Learn more online at hawkinsashcpas.com. Hawkins Ash CPAs, part of your business, part of your life.